The latest roadmap for Microsoft Flight Simulator provides dates for the next 2 updates, along with the air racing expansion. Meanwhile, some new fixes are on the way and the Yonkers U52 gets a release date. Let's take a look. So, one of the most standout things with the latest roadmap is the lack of any new world update, and this marks a pretty big departure from previous roadmaps. It means it's very unlikely there will be any further world updates until December at the very earliest, and possibly later still. Meanwhile, Sim Update 6 is set for a late October release, and Sim Update 7 is scheduled for mid-November. Sim updates, of course, are the ones that make additions and fixes to the sim itself, rather than additions to the sim's environment. The only available details on what to expect so far for Sim Update 6 are some fixes to VR. These include anti-aliasing in menus, broken reflections in VR, shadow light render, and an airliner light bug. There's also mention of that annoying cursor dot that appears in the center of the screen ever since Update 5. This will be fixed in VR, however there's no mention of it being fixed for regular screens, but I assume that it will be. I really hope so anyway, because yes, it's equally annoying on screen as well in VR. Also, the little menu bar at the top, I hope that disappears as well. Now, talking of fixes, Microsoft say that a new hotfix will be arriving in the next few weeks to address some of the more recent problems. The 3 issues they pointed out are as follows. So currently, some people will have noticed that lights appear to float above the ground, whilst in other cases, lights are not appearing at all. It turns out this is caused by render scaling. If you have render scaling set above 100, then it will cause lights to float. Alternatively, if you have render scaling set below 100, and it will cause lights to not appear at all. The temporary workaround to this is to set render scaling to 100. This problem will be addressed with the upcoming patch in a few weeks. Meanwhile, the off-screen terrain pre-caching option is not shown in VR. This will also be fixed, along with another fix that will focus on trim elevation for the Cessna 172, something that Asobo seemed to break repeatedly for some reason. Not sure why that is. In other news, the anticipated Top Gun update has been pushed back to next year due to the delay with the movie. So the fact that the Flight Simulator update for that has been delayed probably won't be a surprise to anyone. That's not to say that there's not going to be any new additions over the coming months, however. The new air racing expansion will be coming mid-November. Microsoft have previously stated that this is the largest update that they have worked on so far for the sim, and among other things will bring a multiplayer air racing to the sim. This will be a paid update, and in addition to the racing, it will include new planes, an improved multiplayer model, as well as leaderboards. Asobo have been working on this particular update for 2 years at this point, so it should be pretty interesting to see, I hope. Meanwhile, the new plane, the Yonkers U52, is set to release on the 30th of September, so do keep an eye out for that if you're interested in that plane. Now, some of you may be aware that that release date is a little later than initially expected and a little later than Microsoft initially stated, and that's because it has been delayed by a couple of weeks due to some bugs that were found in recent testing. So basically they want to try and make sure this is as correct as possible before it's put out there for everyone to purchase. All in all then, this week's development update was a bit of a mixed bag. There's a lot of new information along with that new roadmap, but also it feels somewhat as though there's some unusual omissions there. The lack of news on World Update 7 is strange to see missing from the roadmap, but I personally suspect that the air racing expansion has pushed any world update along the road a bit. It's also strange to see the irregular feedback snapshots removed from the development update. Microsoft didn't have anything to say about these particular items being missing, but personally I'm wondering if it means these snapshots are being reworked for next week. Maybe we'll find out then, or possibly a little later. Lastly, I also noticed that some people are still stuck in that update loop. I've seen that in a few comment sections as well as on the official forums when trying to update Microsoft Flight Simulator on PC. This is where the sim states that a mandatory update is available, but refuses to show that update in the store. There is a fix for this, which worked for me, and you can find those details in the video description. Another fix is to try and install the Xbox app through the Windows Store. Once the Xbox app is installed, it may allow you to update Microsoft Flight Simulator, although that particular part didn't actually work for me. I had to use the fix in the video description. But either way, I hope that helps someone out at least. That then brings us to an end of this video. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys and girls next time.